Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. We are simulcasting with KGRADB.com, KGRA on Facebook, and on YouTube. My name is George Lopez. With me, as always, Mr. Ken DaCosta, and we are here for our Sunday night show. And you guys have joined at a perfect time. We've got a spectacular guest tonight that's going to be joining us here in a few minutes, and we are so privileged and honored to have him join us this evening. But Mr. DaCosta, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Back to nature, long hike today out on a new trail we discovered. And yeah, it was, I am at peace with the universe. I am one with the, no, it was really nice. It's a little bit different because it's about a mile of a boardwalk that's sort of above the forest floor by 3 feet. So it's less intrusive on the different species of plants and things like that. And it's nice and flat, which is perfect for a guy like me who, unlike our guest, does not like to scale mountains.
Well, no, that sounds really incredible. My day is pretty similar. I left my air-conditioned house, walked 30 seconds to my car in the sweltering, muggy, soggy, nasty, humid, heat index above 105 Florida. Got to my car to go to the grocery store, which it is not a long enough distance to get the AC to cool down the car and the hot seats and the hot steering wheel and the hot dashboard. Get into the parking lot, and of course it's full because it's 12 noon on a Sunday, so I have to walk 45 seconds into the store, which is now ice cold, do my shopping, come back out to the same heat with now drizzling rain. It's pretty similar to your experience today, Ken.
Struggle is real, man. Struggle is real. Thoughts and prayers, and
I'm so
loving light to you for your ordeal today.
One more month, and we'll get some lesser humidity. But then the height of hurricane season.
Who's saying hi to us from the Conjuring House?
Oh my goodness!
I'm always suspicious about those kind of things.
It's Bathsheba.
I don't know if this is Brock or it's somebody who's learned how to use technology there.
The spirits. You never know. You never know. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Very important. Click that little red button just below the picture of these two handsome, seasoned men investigators. It's important to do that. Also hit the thumbs up for the content and the reminder bell for upcoming content, which we keep adding and adding and adding to the show. I'm looking forward to this conversation this evening.
Yeah, me too.
Just completed a 40-episode series called Deathwalker. Of course, it is a prequel to the main one he's going to be doing next year, which is called Skinwalker, where he'll be investigating absolutely nude for 40 episodes. We're looking forward to that also. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, returning once again, our very good friend, Nick Groff. Nick, how are you?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Ken. How you doing? Hey, George.
Well, we're doing well. They're lining up here. Hi, we weren't even on the air yet. We were a half hour from airtime. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick.
Nice.
Big fan, Nick. Hey, Nick. It's just like,
Yeah, I'm seeing the comments. Awesome.
Loving your return again. Now, you're going to have to lie to the audience, and we'll keep you saying on location. Make up a location that you're at, because we're used to having you in your studio set up with the microphones and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, right.
So you're on location where, Nick?
I'm actually in Niagara Falls, New York right now. We just had our premiere at the Riviera Theater in North Tonawanda, New York, for Deathwalker, like you guys just mentioned. And I've been filming a ton in the Western New York area. And I'm up here with my wife and our kids and everything, and I'm editing every day, Deathwalker, trying to finalize the episodes to submit so we can do our American release that's coming out hopefully in the fall here coming up. And we're excited about it. It was a big premiere at the theater, and it was packed house. I was honestly honored to see how many people showed up for the premiere. Yeah, you can see this picture right here. It was packed. And if anyone knows the Riviera Theater, it's a 1,100-seat theater. It was amazing because you never know when you're walking into a movie theater, you don't know. And it's very iconic, historic, also haunted. A lot of people had experiences sitting in the crowd, people were having weird experiences that they were telling me after the fact. I was running into people that were actually at the premiere and saying, hey, I was watching Deathwalker, and I was seeing that I felt somebody like touch my head or pull my hair, or like kids were having experiences, adults were having experiences, and it wasn't a weird coincidence where people were like, oh, I'm in a haunted theater. It was weird because a lot of people who didn't know each other were saying they were having the similar experiences, which was kind of interesting, because I never know what to expect because you're at a creepy premiere for Deathwalker and stuff and kind of taking in the environment. But it was very fascinating. The premiere was a huge success, and I was very honored to step on stage and do a Q&A in front of, a packed house and standing ovation at the end. And it just felt good, man, because I've been working on this for 3 years, to get to this point. So it's been a crazy journey just to, when you do everything yourself from the ground up and you have a small, tight, like team that helps you out where you're personally invested in it from the standpoint off of a network completely that's commissioning the project. And we did everything from the ground up, meaning filmed it ourselves. Me and my cousin went off, got the first 5 episodes shot, and then we went on the road and we pitched that to networks. A lot of networks turned it down in the beginning. Like that's the truth. A lot of people turned me down in the beginning. So I said, all right, fine. I'll prove you all wrong. So, and this is the story of my life, though. I'm such an underdog with this type of stuff. I did the same thing in the beginning with my first documentary. I did the same thing with Paranormal Lockdown, and I did the same thing with Deathwalker, and I got it off the ground, and I got it personally financed, got a great sales team on board to internationally sell it. So we sold it to the UK, then we sold it to Canada, and now we're cutting a 40-episode deal because we kept making the episodes. And we cut a 40-episode deal now coming out, and we're going to shoot 20 more episodes in the fall into the spring. So we'll have 60 episodes moving into the New Year's.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they'll be able to stream. It's a different approach in production from, if we're talking specifically production, from what I've been through. I've been in the TV world since 2000 and. Realistically, 2007. Yeah,
7, right? Yeah.
My goodness.
And it's a lot has changed. From cable television, you have to have a commission project. The network finances your project, and that's kind of how you go through the process. And then executives at the network give notes and blah blah blah, and it goes through the process. But then, what I wanted to do after a lot of stuff that went down, I was sick of the politics, sick of putting my heart, passion, and soul into stuff, almost like being used in a sense, making a lot of people money and then being kicked to the curb.
Sure.
And saying, "Oh, have a good life."
Yeah,
so
sure.
You know what? I'm gonna own this 100%. Work with a great team who I trust and who are loyal, and then I'm gonna go make this myself. And then we're gonna license it to different countries, and then no one owns it. And if you say I don't like you, or this person over here doesn't like you and they don't want to work with you, or some stupid immature reason, then all right, I'll take it to another network and we'll find another home for it until someone supports it. So that's been my 3 years. That's why it's taken a long time. That's when I see comments like, well, why can't you just release it, do this, do that? You don't understand. I've been through a lot. I want to position it correctly so I'm not overthrown or used or taken from or screwed over again. So I want to position correctly so it has the correct home where everybody can see it, and I'm on the standpoint of, I want it to be legitimately genuine from a raw element of real paranormal investigation, rather than all the bells and whistles and executive producers writing notes in to change narratives or change bump outs in commercials or whatever the heck they want to do to keep their jobs. You know what I mean? So I come from the standpoint of, I want to make something that's legitimately going to revolutionize the paranormal. It's going to push it forward, but also stay true to what it is and stay true to myself. I mean, at the end of the day, I like respect over having 5 minutes of fame. I could care less. I just want to do stuff that's passionate, where I feel proud of it. And I feel like the fan base feels proud of it. And they're like, this is what's rooted. This is what it feels like. This is what, that intensity, those long continuous shots with no cuts, So that's kind of the feedback I got, and people are excited, man.
Well, that's why you persevere. That's why you persevere in this, to get to the point where you're not at I want to frame it right, but you're not at the mercy of networks who are trying to, maybe get you to compromise a little bit. Not that compromise is a bad thing, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you have an idea and a vision, and you've been around, kicking around in this game long enough that you have a feel for what's going to work, what the audience wants to see, and to be able to do that and go out and say, this is the project I'm going to put forth. This is why you've been doing this for all those years.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference, right, with being a team player and then being someone who just is a yes person. Yeah. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do anything. Yes, put me on TV. I'll do whatever you want. Just pay me. There's a big difference with those two. I'm all about team playing. I'm all about critique, and I'll work with you. Like if it was you two guys who ran a network, right? You, George and Ken, they run the executive network, and I have to submit my episodes to you guys. And Ken says, hey, Nick, you should change this narrative. This is a stronger viewpoint. I would say, you know what? You have a great opinion. Like, that's a great point. Let's conversate about that. Come to a mediumship on, like, where does that fit and how does that work? And is it staying true to me? And if it's perfecting, if it's perfecting the narrative, the story, whatever the episode is in general sense to per whatever the network is where it's airing or whatever the story outline is, I'm all about it. Like I'm not an ego-driven person at all. I love the sense of working with people, and I'm all about being open-minded because, like at the end of the day, I think it's best to work with multiple people who have thinking minds that can perfect whatever we're putting out there.
Of course.
But I'm not about like just yesing everything. So it's just make it scary, just make it scary and just change stuff and fabricate stuff and, get us ratings or get us like clickbait or get us whatever. I'm not really about that, obviously. And I just think that's why I've gone on my own path. And that's why, I've stayed true to myself. And I think that ultimately, it's a shady business, man. I mean, you guys have been in it for a long time. The industry is just a shady business where people are cutthroat and everyone wants to be that person. Everyone wants to be the top person, the top. And I tell everyone, like, come from a place of passion first, drive your passion, believe in what you're doing, be confident about what you're doing, present it and put it out there and be unique and different. Like, what are you trying to do and where do you want to go from point A to point B? Because life is short, man. So put that out there and present it however you can, creatively, if that's a word, creatively.
It is now.
Put it out there, and then basically evolve from that. But you can't keep yourself in a box where it's just like a cookie cutter scenario for a network because that's what works for them. And right. I don't know. I've stayed true to that for many years, and that's why I'm over here and doing what I'm doing, and not just yes man, just following route with everyone else, I guess. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy journey, honestly. But I'm excited. I'm excited because I can sit back and kind of see what I've accomplished and say, man, we did this. Sure. It's a grind, dude. It's a grind because I'm sitting here editing, 40 episodes, getting it done, working with another editor, working with a small little tight team to do reenactments, pretty much doing a ton of work. And, typically on productions with commission projects with networks or anything in the past, you have like 20 to 30 people working on a production, from post to in the field. So it's me and my cousin, Justin, in the field. That's it. We go to 40 locations. We're doing all the filming. And then we'll come back to Western New York and we'll work on the post. I'll edit the episodes. We'll grind it down. We'll look at the evidence. We'll put the narrative story together. We get right into the story, right into the investigation. And then I'll build the reenactments into there to build the backstory on what it was or what it is now. And that's kind of what we do. And we have a little film crew that does the reenactments here. And it's kind of what it is, man. It's working. So I guess we're doing something right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to say nothing of talk about busy. Let me just get that banner off there real quick because we don't want to block out Luciano at all. Yeah. As if you don't have enough going on. You've got this little bundle here that I'm sure is keeping you hopping. How is Luciano? How's Tessa and the kids? How are they doing?
Man, yeah, 5 kids. Meaning, here's Luciano right here, and we're so.
I won't bring him back.
Honestly, he's amazing. He's amazing. He's going to be 5 months this week, actually. He's going to turn 5 months. He's starting to flip over. I swear he said mama and dada already, like just once or twice.
Oh, okay.
And it was weird when he said mama, it was like in a British accent. It was like, mama. I was like, what the heck? I swear I heard that. I'm like, Tessa, he's saying it in like some sort of British accent. It was amazing. And then he said, dad, when he got mad or something. He's like, dad. But it's amazing. I mean, he's growing fast, and Tess and I were so happy. Tessa's incredible. She's an incredible woman. She's been doing this a long time prior to me even meeting her.
Yeah.
She's an amazing medium, and just her abilities and stuff have blown me away. Honestly, I've never met someone so passionate, so real and genuine, and who stays true to themselves too. Like, she's had so many people approach her from networks to do TV shows and stuff. She's turned down so many shows. She's just like, it's ridiculous. They call me up. They want me to do all this stuff. I'm like, that's not who I am. she's so Sicilian, blunt about it. You know, she's like that tough Sicilian. And I love it. I love it about her. She's genuine, and there's no blinds or anything trying to figure out with her. So our relationship is incredible. We wanted a baby. We got married in Salem, Massachusetts in October with good friends and family. All of our kids came together. And then we rolled right into, let's have a baby. We had a baby in the midst of like filming Deathwalker, and she was on a couple episodes. And I mean, 5 months ago, she had a baby, and you should see her. She's beautiful. She bounced back like incredible.
I have seen the pictures you posted, and it's just kind of like, my wife, I think my wife hates her. Because she was like, oh my God, she just had a baby. Yes, she did.
Yeah, she looks amazing. There was like some stupid comments that are like, oh, you had surgery, you did this. What the hell are you into? Like, I love people's social media comments. Like, they just feel entitled to write whatever the hell they want. And
Fantastic.
I'm like, dude, yeah, it's crazy, right? And I'm like, if you know Tessa, she has been a competitive dancer since she was a little kid. Like, competitive all her life. She used to do the hoop. So she had a casino show. She still does. She has one coming up in October at the Seneca Casino. It's almost sold out, actually. Seneca Casino, Niagara Falls, New York. If you want to go to it, check it out. It's online. She used to do, in the intro to her show before COVID, she would have the hoop. The hoop would come down. She would be doing construction work and hoop work.
Yeah.
And then she would incorporate that into her show of doing mediumship and reading people live in front of an audience. It was amazing.
That's like gymnastics combined with some. Dude, that's you got to be a beast.
She is. Yeah, she's super strong, super tough. Obviously, a lot of the life came on hold with a lot of that because of the baby. But I mean, yeah, man, she's an amazing person. And I'm just really honored, to have her as a wife, my side, and us working together. We work together from a genuine place, and it's just pure, It's like, it's a good feeling. I love her, man. It's awesome. So we're happy. Just managing 5 kids, and paranormal is our life, and it's just a weird Adams family home.
Do you ever stop to think, like you must, in a moment of reflection, where you say, God, I'm a lucky SOB. I got a beautiful wife and family. I'm doing what I'm passionate about. And on top of that, I've got to see places that maybe you'd never think that you've seen, and met people and different cultures and everything that comes with the paranormal. I was thinking about that the other day, when I started to reflect on some of the places I've gone to where they wouldn't let a guy like me at all. And then suddenly you have full reign of the place. Yeah. Some mansion where they say, fine, you can have it for a year, lock up when you're done. It's amazing how this field is welcoming to a degree, but it opens a lot of doors. I mean, that must be something to think. You're not ready to think back on it yet. You've got a lot more years to go.
Yeah.
But you've got to think about that sometimes and just go, man, how did I get here?
Yeah, I think about, it's funny because we were driving, we met one Omar Gosh from Omar Gosh TV, the YouTuber there.
Right. Yep.
I met him for the first time. I never met him. And Tessa, he reached out to Tessa to help in some unsolved murder case, because Tessa's really good at criminal unsolved murder case. She works with the police and task force all the time to help like find unsolved missing cases and stuff like that. She's really good at it. And she said, all right, we'll do this. I never really do this. I have so much going on. I don't really do it, but she's never steered me wrong either. So I said, you know what, I'll come along with you. We'll see what it's about. Because I always get worried with like, if it's big production or what the heck, who's going to film what, you know what I mean? I'm always wary with stuff like that. And he was really cool. He was like a really down-to-earth dude. It was funny. I let them do their thing. They hit it off. He's filming everything himself. Like it was straight up like how he does it. So I was like, man, you know what? This is really cool, man. I respect you for like the grind, the filmmaking grind of like filming and being real and just like filming Tessa and letting her just say however her insights. And she pinpointed so many different things that led and to us saying, you know what, let's go to this bridge where this dead body was laid out, where the unsolved murder case took place back in the 1983, I think, or 1982. So he's filming the whole thing. It's going to be released on his YouTube channel, but it was interesting. So we're driving from a cemetery where Tessa's doing insight readings on like that whole investigation case with Omar Gosh, and I'm kind of over here just chilling, walking through the cemetery by myself, looking at the gravestones, and we're driving, and Tessa goes, "We have a weird life." And I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, it's a weird life. Here we are, we're with the kids, we're making sandwiches, then we're in love, we're driving, we're going around past Lilydale, New York, where mediumship kind of resurrected, and then we're meeting this guy, and now we're going to look for like a dead. So I go, you want to go find a dead body? Like stand by me?
Yeah, sure. Why
weird,
not?
It's just a weird life. So Tessa reminded me of how weird our life is. To me, it's like second nature. It's like I'm moving so fast in my life sometimes, and I stop and I make sure there's balance with our family, balance with her and me, and I'm always reminding life is short. Like I want to, kiss you like there's no tomorrow. Like encompass that love, encompass that purity of like what life is, rather than what we're trying to accomplish. The accomplishing is just something new every day that we're leading and guiding to that stepping stone in life and evolving as a human being. But I think ultimately, it's just fascinating, man, how, I don't know, how weird life has been from being age 8, from ripping open my arm and almost dying, to competitive sports, to my parents putting me on an airplane, I think when I was like maybe like 9 years old or something, to fly across to California, to go where my grandparents were, next to the Winchester Mystery House, growing up in that
San
area.
Jose,
yeah, it's a weird life. My grandmother used to talk to me about UFOs, extraterrestrials in Nashua, New Hampshire, about the first abduction cases, to weird dolls that have like weird voodoo or whatever attached to them, where they
seen
come
this
walking
coming.
around. Yeah,
should have seen this coming.
It's a weird life, man. But I don't know. I'm here, and I don't really look. I look at it, but I don't really look at like, man, this is what I've done. I think I look at the accomplishments of what I feel proud about. Like I love my kids to death. I love my family, and I always set like major goals to, like Lost Limbs Foundation. All right, let's conquer a mountain. Let's do something great. Let's do something that's going to be remembered, or something that's going to ripple effect the universe. I try to resonate that energy and have balance in my life with like feeling good, like feeling healthy, feeling like, not falling into the trap of like you're just in a redundant cycle or redundant depression or redundant like things that can overtake your mind and body and spirit. You kind of like, you have to prevail through life, and you have to like evolve. And if you're not evolving, you're just kind of in this weird limbo state. You know what I mean? So kind of live by that. And I try to rid all the negativity around me out of my life, like negative people or negative things or anything like anchors or anything that holds you back. Yeah.
I mean, time is linear. Like Warren Zevon, his parting message to the world was enjoy every sandwich, whatever that means. But, I think I get it. Yeah. I wanted to come back around to Deathwalkers because you have said in relation to this project that you are steering this back to fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of flesh that out for us as far as your meaning, what the fundamentals are to you?
Yeah, I think basic principles of what a real paranormal investigation is. So anybody that walks into a location that is reported to be haunted or claims of weird things that are happening from owners, managers, or eyewitness accounts, you kind of go in as a perspective of your own self. You're experiencing it firsthand, right? So it's not about the equipment per se. You're kind of going in there as an investigator, just in the sense of the fundamentals of what it was. You didn't have all this gadgets, gizmos, and all that stuff way back, 20,
Sure.
30, 40, whatever years ago.
Damn
even,
right.
Even now, you know what I mean? I think sometimes you have to encompass the environments, encompass the stories, and just be a part of that atmosphere first. I think second, yes, using new technology, using gadgets, using experiments, thinking outside the box is great for validating maybe personal experiences or personal like claims of hauntings. So I think the fundamentals kind of are rooted in that. And what I mean is like raw elements too. Like there's two people, one person filming me and then static camera setup. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, and a lot of the time I'm doing a lot of filming too. So even the interviews that we interview people, I'm shooting one of the cameras and my cousin Justin shooting the other camera. That's us. There's not a second camera crew that's just filming that, and then we're investigating and we show up one day, they show up the next day. That's how typical productions are. You have a whole team of people that does that. No, we're doing everything. So to me, that's the very basics of documentary filmmaking. Documentary filmmaking is telling a story, telling a narrative, and then the raw fundamental elements of a paranormal investigation is going in and it just becoming a part of that atmosphere to see if these experiences are real for myself, because who knows, someone might have a different experience than I. So I want to go in there and see firsthand and kind of letting go of that, but kind of guiding yourself through, okay, over here is a haunting, over here's a haunting. I know that backstory. I know that backstory. Then I'll sleep at the locations. So Justin will leave and I'll be there all alone by myself, which messes with my head sometimes when depending on how the energy is there. And then I'll set up stat cameras, set up experiments, try new things. I feel like those are fundamentals, you know what I mean, as just any paranormal investigation goes. And then everything on top of that is just like from your perception, how or what I guess your beliefs are, how you perceive things, how you want to tell the story. It just depends who you are, like what your belief is in life, religions, whatever the case is. And that's how you're presenting each episode. So that's kind of where I come from, as far as I want to go back to the basics, but I want to evolve the basics into using new elements of experiments, work with people that are great at thinking outside the box, to create new audio devices, new equipment, work with engineers, electrical engineers, and just different people to try to do different things, to validate some of these experiences. But it's kind of what we're doing.
Well, the thing is, and you immerse yourself into it organically, because at the end of the day, there isn't likely to be 40 people having an experience. And that's not how these things started. It's somebody making dinner or a couple of people watching TV, and all of a sudden this thing happens. Mm-hmm. Or somebody's walking through a public place and this thing happens. It doesn't happen normally to like 30 people at once. They don't have a shared experience. So to me, you're putting yourself back in that position that maybe people had these experiences that passed them on. What makes this place haunted? So I am going to put myself, and your cousin as two people in this position where there's not a lot of people going on, and we can organically, hopefully, experience the same type of thing that these people who made the original report.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. I mean, and I come from a logical place, and basically what you're seeing in Deathwalker is just the condensed version of a couple of days staying at this place and just doing a thorough investigation and trying different things. So it's been amazing, and we have great engineers. Each series too, we're evolving. I just saw Dan's comment right there. Each series we have, like he just said, we have new engineers and stuff. So each each overarching series or season, I should say, of Deathwalker, there's like an overarching narrative. So like season 1 was the first 5 eps. We wanted to discover or look at different theories and compare locations to one topic, one theory. And then the second season was, can a spirit, ghost, whatever from beyond actually attack the living? So that was the second, season. And then the third season that we just got done doing, which kind of concludes the 40 eps, is we're looking at, can a spirit or energy or anything from beyond actually overtake the mind, body, and spirit in a sense. So we have these kind of overarching narratives throughout the 20 episodes of each season, and then we go into each detail, but like each location kind of has the fundamentals like we were talking about, but we're evolving with great people that we're working with, engineers and stuff, and like minds to try different things. I'm open to different ideas, if it makes sense in some sort of common way.
So. Hey, one of the things before I get out of here, I want to bring George back in too, but what I've kind of noticed, maybe it's just something I've noticed, but it seems that when you go to locations, a lot of times you concentrate on an area or a region geographically. Like you're in Western New York, you said you're up at Niagara Falls. Is it the kind of thing where you say, okay, let's go up here in Western New York, whatever the location is, and then you start doing some background and some research, and you find this place and this place, and this place and this place. And there are hot spots, the Hudson Valley. You talk about the Rockport area.
Yeah.
Is this the kind of thing where it's like a self-perpetuating thing where you might not go in there and say, okay, we're going to cover this region, but the stories and the claims and the reports are so good that you say, you know what, let's just hang out here for a while because there's stories to tell here.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I mean, we'll go to random places that we didn't even know about. We might not even film it, and we'll stop in. And I mean, Tessa and I do it all the time. We'll go to locations and just be like, I heard about this. Where were we? We were just at some place, and we heard about it, and we stopped in just to check it out, So we do that a lot just because we're fascinated to see for ourselves, and we've heard stories. But I mean, there's 2 reasons to answer your question, to be completely honest with you and transparent. One reason is because it's easy to budget instead of flying around everywhere. So one reason is we'll hit up a ton of locations in Western New York because we travel from one to the next in a car, and it's cheaper that way. Besides, flights are ridiculous today, flying around everywhere. We're not a big budget production like, something off you used to see on all these other shows, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. Like the amount of money they're putting behind some of these shows is absolutely insane, and something has to change because I don't see how analytically they're matching up to ratings and analytically like they're hitting on a streaming network. I think your dollar amount per se has to hit per what the budget is, and it would blow your mind away if you actually knew what we did Deathwalker for and how much bigger it's hitting than typical shows that are actually commissioned by regular networks. That's why I think I'm feared a lot. So unfortunately, in politics of the industry, people fear because of money. It's money and power, and I just think it's absolutely stupid sometimes. In my book, that's why I'm over here doing what I am independently, rather than riding on the train with everyone else, living flourishly. But I believe in what I do, man, because I tell everyone, come from passion. Everything succeeds, then everything comes second. The money, all that stuff, that comes second, man. Like really drive from what your beliefs are and stay true to that. Money and fame and all that crap, you can get lost in that crap. And I've seen a lot of people lose themselves. I met a lot of famous people, a lot of great people, and it's kind of sad. And a lot of people don't stay true to that. But I think it's just one of those things, And that's knowing where you came from and the roots. And you plant your roots, and you always go back to those fundamentals, like we're talking about, because that's truly what it's about. So I think it's 2 parts to answer your question, Ken. It's like, one, it's easy to budget out, traveling from one location to the next. And secondly, I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of locations, especially in Western New York, that I'm learning that I had no clue about.
Right.
There's locations down the street from me that are like little gems that are historic that no one even knows about. But if I started telling you the backstory, which we're going to be doing in the next 20 episodes, it would blow your mind away.
Yeah.
I'm talking like major history, a lot of stuff. For instance, I'll give you an example: Lockport, New York. Like people know about it, right? But do you truly know how haunted it is? Like there's an amazing location I did. I showed a piece of evidence that we documented at the premiere, and after we aired one of the episodes, I wanted to show evidence from, because it's mind blowing. I'll have to show you guys after. I'll have to show you a link so you can watch it. But it's we captured this apparition hand and arm reaching in behind me on one of the cameras, and we had a video specialist, a professor actually at one of the Buffalo universities here, analyze the video to rule out anything. I said, here you go. Here's both cameras. Here's the raw footage. I said, please give me any validation. I don't care what you say. I want to include it in the episode. If you find something legitimately where it could be environmental or equipment malfunction or anything that you could possibly say that was of a logical explanation, please tell me. But he couldn't rule it out anything. He looked at everything. We actually discovered that it was 3 fingers, an arm reaching in, and you could actually see the heat signatures on the tips of the fingertips. And what was strange, it was the 3 fingers. So at first I'm thinking a ghost, a spirit. I'm standing in a location where a fire took place, and a lot of people died. And I'm thinking maybe someone fired. Then someone brought up, oh, could it be somebody in the manufacturer plant where they had their fingers cut off or whatever? But then I started thinking, what happens if it's neither? What happens because it's almost like it has some sort of cloaking ability in some way. We're not using any night vision cameras anymore. And what I noticed is on the low light capability of these new cameras that we're using, I don't know if basically we captured something for that split second in a different spectrum, that it could be an interdimensional being. So we started looking into interdimensional beings, and I took it to a UFOologist who started telling me about all the sightings in Western New York and this whole area and how they've been studying it for 30 plus years. And then we went into this whole discussion about aliens, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings. And then basically we just started realizing it's a possibility that what we just documented could be something that is analyzing the area and it's cloaked or has some sort of I don't know, weird interdimensional being like cut through into our reality, and that's what we're documenting. So it's strange, man. But we got to think outside the box. We live in such a vast and weird world, that I'm always trying to think, is it just a ghost or is it something else?
Right. I think that and a little bit later on, if we have the opportunity, we have the teaser for Deathwalker, and we might, give you just a little bit of a hint of what this project is all about. But for right now, I'm going to disappear. George Lopez, tag, you're it.
Well, thank you, Ken. I know this is a wrestling match with Nick Groff because I know I'll lose. But again, I can't thank you enough. You've been on with us since back in the Blog Talk days. If you remember those days, it was just in its infancy with Dead Air. And, we had such an incredible group of people who were listeners. And then, of course, the stars that started coming on. And I remember when we crossed the streams with you and Grant Wilson that night.
Oh, yeah.
And people were like, is this even possible? How come they're not yelling at each other? But there's an absolute respect for the people that are in the field and care about what they're doing. But I wanted to bring something up, and it's incredibly important. It's a message that I would like for you to relay to our listeners, our viewers tonight too, Nick. I remember the only time, this had to be 8 years ago at least, maybe more, where you and I got on the phone at 45 minutes. We were on the phone to an hour, and there was something at that point in time that you were at a crossroads and things were really starting to affect you. And that was the last time ever I heard that from Nick Groff. From that point forth, your whole demeanor changed to positivity. It's almost again as if the veil was lifted and now you could be you and do what you needed to do for yourself. And that's never wavered. And I've mentioned that on previous visits when you've come on the show, how you've maintained that positivity, and whether it relates to the paranormal or relates to life in general. Can you kind of share that mindset for our viewers, that whether it's about their job or they're part of the paranormal field, how they can keep that mindset going? Because we all know how quickly, as you said at the beginning of the show, this field can drag you down, whether it's the people or whether it's the energies in places you're investigating. How you stay above that consistently year after year.
It's difficult. Like, I won't lie, I've been through my hard times, man. I think everybody
Sure.
does.
Yep.
And nothing's perfect. Life isn't perfect. And you got to realize that. I think maybe I'm just getting older and I'm just being more blunt and honest about it. And it's like I have nothing to hide. I think that sometimes you're challenged with things in life, and life is just crazy like that. It's a roller coaster ride, but it's what you make of it. So you can be a happy individual, but live a simple life. It just depends what you want and where you want to go, and what you want to do before it's your time to pass on out of this body into whatever is next. And I think sometimes, we have to look at stuff from a different perspective. So we're not just, I guess, driven from the core elements of your mind of like that ego that wants to say, all right, I want to be this. Or it's good to say that I'm going to be this, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to do this. But when you say that, you have to follow through with yourself and do it. It's one thing to
Right.
talk about it, but it's another thing to actually see it through all the way through. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. Anything is possible to accomplish. It depends how you get there and who you surround yourself with and how you conquer it. But I think sometimes we all get steered off the path that we're on. Everybody has done it. I don't care who you are. Everybody has done it at least once in their life, where we're all going on this straight path. We all have it. We all have this straight path, right? We're born into this world. We die in this world. But that straight path that we're on from point A to point B, you kind of go off of it once in a while, right? We all have done it.
Yeah,
You
sure.
make choices. They're called choices. You're called mistakes, or whatever you want to claim it or define it to be. We all make choices. We meet people. We think, oh, they're my friend, or they're this, and then all of a sudden they're not. Or maybe this is a good job. This is where I want to be, and then you learn, no, it's not. This is just a stepping stone. And then this is where I want to be. Or it's weird. It's all learning, man. It's all learning, and that's what fascinates me when we get into the paranormal, is because the consciousness collects all this information in this brain. But where's the consciousness go with the energy that's attached to this body when the body dies? That's a fact. The body dies, but the energy can't be destroyed, and the consciousness is such a, like, nobody actually knows how to basically break down the consciousness from a scientific realm. So where's that consciousness energy and whatever ever happens after that? So I think, to answer your question, it's multiple things need to happen. It's not one kind of like boxed up thing that's tied up in a bow and says, here's how you accomplish it. I think we have to all figure it out on our own journey and say, okay, I learned from that, but how do I better myself? And how am I happy at the same time, and looking in the mirror and saying, I'm completely fulfilled. You have a cup of water, you fill it to the top, or you're happy, not half, empty, half full, whatever you want to call it, or whatever analogy you want to use. It needs to come from the core elements where you have a balanced life, where you're happy, you're healthy, you feel like you're accomplishing things every day. Time is fast as far as growing and getting older and passing away and whatever. So it's like, what do you want to resonate into this world before it's your time to go, and how you want to accomplish that? Do you want to, do you want to wake up every day and just be like, all right, I'll go through this day and be lazy about it and say, I'll get to it tomorrow? Or do you want to wake up every day like it's your last and breathing, like to your fullest, and being like, I'm going to do all these things and I'm going to accomplish all this stuff, but also have a balance? You have to have a balance in life, because if you're exerting too much, like too many places, like I did this once in my life, like way back when I was doing too many projects at once. And I wasn't focused on the major projects, and a lot of the projects I was doing was actually dragging me down, and I wasn't stepping forward. It was just anchoring me down.
You know, stretching yourself thin, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone does it at least once in their life. They want to do different things or try different things, or like they exert themselves to different conversations or whatever, and it's too much. You have to. What I've learned is I took on Deathwalker, and maybe one other project. And I said, I'm going to hyper focus all my energy because I'm a very hyper person. I'm going to hyper focus all my energy and focus in 100% to this. And I'm going to see it through. When that happens, then I'm allowed to do and conquer other things. But in the meantime, I'm going to balance my life, balance my family life, and hyper focus to that 100%, 150%. See it through. When it smashes and it hits, and we have that base and we have that army behind us that's going to rise up and conquer from the rooted elements of what we're trying to accomplish here, then I'm going to conquer something even bigger. But that's what you have to do in life. You can't spread yourself thin. You can't say, oh, I can't do it, and get into the depressive like funk. You have to know that you're going to accomplish something and see it through. Every day can be hard. Every day can physically, mentally, whatever, emotionally be draining, depending on family, depending on situations, depending on work. But nothing is impossible. It's what you make of it. Don't give excuses. I hate hearing excuses. Oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. You can just figure it out. Maybe you can't today. You can tomorrow. If you can't tomorrow, you can on Thursday or whatever. Just orchestrate your plan, see it through, and go after it, and get rid of anything that anchors you down, anything that is negative, anything that isn't helping you evolve to what you want to do.
That's a follow-up question that I have for you then, and it's a portion of what you said encompasses helping you with being able to stay in that positive mindset, and that is your support group.
Yeah.
And I want you to kind of just embellish on that a little bit, because you've been on the opposite end of that, where you've been dragged down
100%
from a negative surroundings to where the positive is. So just kind of explain how important that is, whether it's family or whether it's friends or whether it's just those people that you work in conjunction with when you're doing something such as Deathwalker. How important it is to have an uplifting group of people around you?
100% important, because anything that is negative will ripple effect onto the others that you're working with, and it will become just a negative environment. So anything that's negative, you want to nip it in the butt right away. I used to, when I did Paranormal Lockdown, I ran the production company, I ran everything. And I would tell the crew of people, I had 20 people that worked for me in the post-production house in Manhattan, New York, that worked on Paranormal Lockdown because it was a commission project from the network. And then I worked with about 11 people, except, they would shoot the B-roll and all that stuff and reenactments, and then they leave, and then it would just be me and Katrina and Rob Safi sometimes. And I would tell everybody, I would sit them all down and I said, look, if any one of you is negative at any point, don't be here because I don't want to feel the negativity, and it's going to ripple effect and make it a bad environment for everybody else. Luckily now in Deathwalker, it's just my cousin and I, and then, we work with a small team back in our office here in New York and up in Niagara Falls. And it's pretty cut and dry. It's very easy. I mean, I've known Justin since he's my cousin. We've been doing this since little kids. There's a picture of us floating around with me and him in bathtub when we're like 4 years old or something. So like, he grew up in a haunted house, and he's the most logical thinker you ever meet. His IQ is like, he's a genius. Justin, my cousin, is just a genius, and his IQ's out the roof. And he basically has a very fascinating perspective on the paranormal and stuff, and he gets into everything like dark matter and gravity and all sorts of different things. We have deep conversations, but I tell him sometimes, I'm like, what about living, man? What about just living and not thinking so heavy? Like, what about, I love conversations, but I think we think so hard sometimes we forget to think that we're alive and just smile and like take it in. Like, there's a reason why we're important here.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. So I think we get so lost in transition sometimes with we think we have to figure everything out, but I feel sometimes some stuff isn't supposed to be figured out. I think it's just supposed to help us evolve and become into this energy or consciousness from maybe past lives, if that's your belief, or maybe it's something that's helping evolve humankind into this next generation of kids and so on after us, or stuff like that. I don't know, but all I know is like we're doing stuff that's that is definitely a conversation starter with anybody I've ever met. Like everyone has a ghost story or a weird story or some story to talk about, from a historical standpoint to a paranormal standpoint, supernatural, or even UFO, encrypted, and whatever. That, you know, even from the skeptical people that I've met, even I have some good skeptic friends that are really cool, and you know, like we have great conversations about life and what's next and whatever. You know, we talk about. I think it's just a conversation starter and about the journey. So I'm all about it. You know, I think you have to go after what you really want to accomplish in life. I mean, that's my biggest thing.
I agree 100%. We are speaking to Nick Groff. We're speaking about Deathwalker. And what we'd like to do right now is play the teaser before we go to break. And so you guys can get an idea of just how crazy this show is and going to be for us here in the United States as well. This is the teaser for Deathwalker.
If I can just prove and show that physical attacks do happen from beyond, that would give us evidence that you do exist, that there is something than just dying.
I've never experienced this before.
More negative, something inhuman.
I want to see once and for all, can something actually attack the living?
It's this dark energy, this malevolent force.
You have a mark on your neck.
That's what it feels like. It feels burned.
It will absolutely physically harm you. It can attach itself to you.
Someone will get ill, throw up. They feel like they're being held down.
I sense it. If something in here can physically harm the living, I'm talking to the negative entity that's in here. We're going to find you. Feels like it's burning. It's burning right in the middle. Is that you cutting my back?
Yowza.
And you still want to do more of these?
Oh yeah, we have since that. Yeah, that was a year ago. We filmed a lot of those, and then the next 20 episodes that we did get even crazier, and that's where we discovered that apparition arm hand in Lockport, New York, and some of the newer episodes. They're just getting better and better and better. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, and quality wise, Bill Forte, we may have to replace you with Nick's crew because they do a better audio video on that. But anyway, guys, we're going to go to our quick break right now. I know our time with Nick is somewhat limited. We'll explain after the break, but stay with us right now, guys. You are watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in a little bit.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you would like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
Hi, I'm Austin Butler from Baz Luhrmann's new film, Elvis.
Tomorrow, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
As a blood donor himself, Elvis shared the gift of life with patients in need and asked others to do the same. We're encouraging you to give blood this summer. Please visit redcrossblood.org/ElvisMovie today to learn more.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at kgradb.com.
First time, Bill, first time in all this time that I went to break early. I was like, usually I'm sitting there going, it's either 53 or 57. Which one is it? And then it just dawned on me. So we'll fill in that airtime. And what we'd like to do, Nick, I know that we were talking before too. You got to go ahead and feed the family out there. We want to have you for some extra questions from the audience and such, but want to make sure that we don't want to have the family not eating. So
no, you're good, man. Yeah, no, totally cool.
All right. All right. So one of the things, again, for those of you just joining us, again, my name is George Lopez. With me, Ken DeCosta, very special guest, Nick Groff. We are talking about Death Walker. And for those of you who are listening on KGRA-DB, please stop by the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button. You can still listen to us on KGRA-DB, but it helps us with our channel. It helps us with our progress. So we greatly appreciate that from all of you wonderful listeners. A lot of great comments in the chat tonight and quite a few questions. And Mr. DeCosta, if you want to start from the top and work your way down.
Yeah, I think what we will probably do here, because some of them are of the same ilk, so we will go to Shauna McCormick. Has anything followed you home during Death Walker?
Death Walker. I'm trying to remember. I've been filming a ton at different locations. When I filmed at the Sally House, that was really strange. That was the first time I actually had a mark on my skin, my back, that got scratched. I've never had something like that happen. I always want to see it too as it's happening, so it's not like you pull your shirt up and you're like, oh, there's a scratch. You know what I mean? I've seen that happen a lot to people. I want to actually see it, feel it as it was happening, and that's basically what happened to me. Justin was filming, and I kept telling him it feels like something's burning my back. Lifted up my shirt, and then he's like, I don't see anything. I'm like, I swear it's burning. And as he was filming me, you could see it slowly just start to form on my back, that scratch down my spine. So, and then the audio device goes, it's speaking through, confirming that it's scratching me and stuff, which was wild. That was a scary location. I felt very, I don't know, the energy was weird when I left the location. I'm a big believer in energy, and I felt just kind of yucky, I left and it just felt like it was lingering. And we had to go to another location after that for another couple of days. So it's kind of hard because they all kind of mashed together. Right. So it was kind of hard to say what came home because we were on the road for over a month filming locations. We were going to them back to back to back. So it kind of all jumbled together in a sense. But there were some locations that did affect me more so than others. I remember when I went and I investigated the haunted Hill House in Texas there, Mineral Wells, Texas. Oh my gosh, the energy in that location was weird. The moment I stepped on that property, it just felt weird. So that location was bizarre to me. There's been several locations that have definitely affected me more so than others. Tessa and I, we have stuff happening all the time, like in the house and stuff. That's just kind of weird. But she's very protective over the kids. Like she'll do a really great job of like blocking out stuff and so on in her own means. And the kids are very, it's like a lighthouse. They draw in spirits. They draw in energy. So stuff does happen. But we're pretty good about like blocking it off, staying positive. And if there is something that comes in the house, Tessa will sense it. She'll see it. Like she saw, what was it, a little bit ago, she saw somebody actually, I saw it too. We're feeding the baby. She saw this shadow figure just walk from one side of the room. We saw it in the other room. It looked like a person just walked right past. And we thought it was one of the kids, but, we called for the kids in the living room. They're sitting right there. It wasn't them. And I saw it on my peripheral as a shadow that moved, but she saw it straight. Like she saw it solid move through there. So we have stuff happen, but, I think the creepy part is when we're vulnerable at nighttime, we're trying to go to bed and we experience something like that happen. We had this happen a little while ago where she felt it. She knew it was there and I felt it before even saying anything to her. Like intuitively, empathically, I felt it. And I just felt like the energy was different. It wasn't like bad or good. It was just like that weird in between. Like it makes you uncomfortable because you don't really know what it is. And she goes, "There's something here." She got nervous. And sometimes I'm so tired that I'll literally get up. I'll be like, "Where is it?" I'm going to go. She'll be like, "I hear them talking right now." Not in a crazy way. Like I hear them talking. I know when she's experiencing something. I'll be like, when I'm too tired, I'll be like, "All right, I'm going to go in that room and I'm just going to break up the conversation." I'll just get up and I'll walk right in there and I'll be like, "Listen, get out of the house. Get out of the house. Not right now." And then it just stuff goes back. You can't feed into that stuff or just, gets worse.
Yeah. Well,
so we've had that happen.
Part of addressing a problem is first you have to identify the problem.
Yeah, totally.
And this is where you have, Tessa is your early warning system, which, I got to get one of those.
Yeah, we need an alarm system, breaking and entering, Tessa will just
I know. There are a number of questions that all come down to the same topic, and they have to do with Deathwalker.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just pick one. Mike Seville, U.S. release, and a lot of them, how do we see it? Where is it playing? So just kind of give us a rundown on that, Nick. Like, where you touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Where does it stand right now?
Yeah, so right now we're working on a 40-episode deal for it to air in America. I was going to have some news at the premiere, but our means got pushed for the domestic deal that we're working on now. We will have something in the motion, and if it does land, it's going to be out in the fall here in America, October season and everything. That's what I heard they were planning. So just stay tuned for the fall time. If once we secure this, there will be a big announcement. Obviously, I'll be announcing it everywhere because I've been waiting forever to do this. There's new episodes, or the new season is going to be airing in the UK in the fall too, coming up. I'm finishing the episodes now to submit to them, and they'll be airing it in the UK. So anybody in the United Kingdom that's listening, it will be airing in the fall coming up, which will be on Discovery Plus, streaming on Discovery Plus in the United Kingdom, and it will also be on the Really channel in the United Kingdom. So that's coming up. You can go and you can watch all the episodes right now on Discovery Plus United Kingdom. It is not on Discovery Plus in America. So I just want to clarify that it's totally two separate things, and people need to understand that it's totally different in the United Kingdom. It's a different country. They have different licensing deals compared to America. America, where my stuff used to air, it is not on that. It won't be on that. So I have a better opportunity, a better platform, a better place where everyone's going to be able to see it really soon. And I'm really excited about it, actually. So I'll be making that announcement really soon, and I can't wait. And then it's airing in Canada, too. So it was in Canada the first season, the second season. on CTV Sci-Fi Channel. We'll be announcing where all the new episodes will be airing in Canada very soon. And we're working on different countries right now. So we'll be working on Germany. We'll be working on, there's a lot of countries, like Caribbeans, America, all that stuff. Yeah, we're working on it now. I have a great sales agent who works on Deathwalker, a great team with GRB Studios, who you saw in the credits there. And they do a good job, and they're really positioning it properly so everyone can see it rather than, kind of getting shoved aside or something, So we're excited.
Excellent. That covers a few questions we have. A couple of more, if you got time, Nick. Yeah. One is Kathy Pernasek. Has Nick ever been to Fort Niagara? Allegedly.
Yes. Yeah, I just went there with Tessa and the kids. We actually went to Fort Niagara. We walked around the fort. It was my first time I've ever been there. And there's a cool pool, like a swimming pool that's next door. The whole entire area is a park. So you can actually go there, swim in the Lake Ontario. And basically, we took the family there. We went swimming. We went to the fort. We walked around. We talked to one of the people that are part of the reenactments and the historical tour and stuff. And I was talking to them about hauntings. People were talking all sorts of stuff that they've experienced there. I've been working on getting into one of the buildings there. There's actually multiple buildings on the property that's owned by the park and stuff. The fort is one of them. And then there's other separate buildings that are part of the naval buildings. I think that's what they're called, that are next door and stuff that are reportedly haunted too. So we're working on it. But I've been there. I just never investigated. I went there on a really nice day. It was awesome to walk around and watch them kind of, do the reenactments and hear the stories and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Yeah. Question that might require some thought. Tim Lovejoy asked the question that's never asked. Well, not up to now, Tim. Will, when we pass, try to make contact with future investigators? Will we flip the script, so to speak? I mean, when our time here is up, do you think, being so cognizant of this, that we will be more willing to talk to people who are doing what we're doing now 40 years in the future?
I see what you're saying. So, like, somebody like me, when we pass away, or when we pass away again, is it like, because we're so involved in the paranormal or we're interested in, are we going to come back and try to speak to the living in a sense?
Yeah.
Is that question? I don't think I will. I'll be honest. I want to move on, man. I want to evolve. I don't think I would linger in limbo. It'd be like proving a Houdini and just be like, I'm coming back from the dead to speak to loved ones. I don't know. I think, honestly, spiritual energy can come and go. I've experienced it. I mean, it's kind of like me saying, I love my grandmother. When she was alive, both my grandmothers, I talked to them in lengths about stuff, right? When they passed on, my grandmother died of multiple complications. She had Parkinson's, she had cancer. It was bad. I loved her to death. I watched her go through it. It was terrible. When she passed on, she was free from all the pain and the suffering and stuff at the end of her life. She was a great woman through her whole life, raised my mom and a bunch of other kids and stuff. And I just think that you think about the complications, you think about the struggle, you think about what you've gone through in life, you would want that person to move on to a better place, evolve as a spirit. Maybe, I don't know what happens. Like, everyone asks the same question, like, what do you think happens when you die? 10 years ago, I thought something differently to now. I think, honestly, at this point in my life, I think multiple things happen. I don't think it's one thing that happens. I think we let go of our regrets. I think we let go of a lot of things that we've been through in life, but I think the consciousness is there to evolve our energy. And I think if you can't get it right, maybe you come back and have to live another life until you get it right. And it's all evolving, so you can go to some sort of higher or better place, or however you want to define it in what we comprehend as human beings. We like to analyze things into boxes, into religions, into whatever the situation is. And I think sometimes we have to let go of all that, because we're stripped of all those elements before we come into this world. And I think we're stripped of all of them when we leave this world. So what happens next? I think multiple things happen. I don't think it's one thing. I think if you're either unhappy, if you hold on to regrets, or if you're struggling, or if it's a tragic death or something like that, I think there is lingering effects. I think there is trauma to that energy where, yes, that's what we're communicating with half time. But I think people can move on, like my grandmother, but but I think they can come back to check on us too and then leave again. I've had those experiences.
Free will.
You know, so I think multiple things can happen, and I think, you know, if you want to come back and present yourself or kind of like make that contact, I think it's more complicated than just like, oh, I'm gonna pick up the phone and talk to that person that's still living. I don't think you're necessarily gonna know if you're dead or not. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Yeah. I think there's a conduit to that, but the way I look at it is that from my experience, I see more examples of free will. Yes. Which is the difference, I think, between ghosts and spirits. Ghosts are grounded and they don't acknowledge you. The typical type of replays, the residual things, where I think a spirit more likely to have free will. They come in visitation, maybe through a conduit, maybe when called upon, whatever. You know, we'll get there. I'm not in a hurry to get there, but we'll get there eventually. And finally, our last question comes from Brendan Monk. What was your most positive experience in an investigation, Nick?
Well, I'm never asked that one. It's always what's your worst and scariest and negative. That's awesome.
There you go.
The most positive? I think learning the history and the value of what locations have been through. I think just gathering information and knowing that I can step back in time and learning from, you know, it's funny because I go to a lot of locations that are so like embedded in such negative like wars or trauma or just dark energy of people that have done horrible things. And I start to realize how terrible we are as human beings, you know? Seriously, some of the stories I hear are just horrible at some of these locations, from prisons to mental asylums to, you know, how these places were in operation and so on. And I think what I take from it is just like how to be a better person. I don't know. And I think sometimes, you know, like learning that we can communicate with the other side through the means that we have. I think maybe we're giving closure. Maybe we're helping, in a sense, you know, speak to the ones that, like we were just talking about, that are lost. Or maybe there's like a bleed through in time, you know, where we're here communicating with somebody from the past and it's kind of giving them validation and so on to move forward. I don't know. I think everything ripple affects everything. So I think I take from a positive that it's opened up a conversation to just have like what we're talking about, like life in general, talk about the journey, talk about life, talk about what's next, or, you know, anything that kind of paves the way to help others and be a better person. That's kind of what I take from it. I know it's kind of a dragged out answer, but I don't think it's a right one in a sense. Trying to think of some other instances that I had a positive experience at a paranormal investigation. I think communicating with, oh, you know what was a good one? I was trying to remember because I was been to so many. There was one where, let me think here. I don't remember the location, but I remember capturing this voice coming through, and I knew the history. I knew someone died there, and I had this person's voice come through, and it was very clear. Then I had the mother of the kid who supposedly died there and stuff come and listen to the voice, and I wanted to hear it. Oh wait, let me back up. That was one story. Here's an even better one that just clicked in my head because I just finished it. Deathwalker. All right, so we were at this location that you're gonna see coming up, and we investigated it. And the lady who runs the location, she's a co-owner. She never met her grandmother, but she knew her as a little kid. Her grandmother passed away in the hospital. I investigated the hospital. The whole story had this other backstory, but I started getting this grandmother coming through, her voice coming through. I had her name coming through a lot. I presented the audio evidence of her voice coming through. She started crying and said, I never had validation and meeting my grandmother, and it really was a heart-warmed, positive ending to a great story of the hospital, rather than hearing, oh, it's scary and this happens and it's like, you know, like all the dark, negative, whatever you want to, because there's a really negative backstory to someone murdering someone, and, you know, some the cliche story of the guy getting killed and all that stuff. But it turned into a whole positive ending where it was, I'm like, man, this is a better narrative. Like we're this is what we're documenting. Let's roll with this, because it rather than, tell the story of the person who shot somebody and killed them, and then that guy gets killed, and this is the location, it turned into the grandmother coming through very clearly, but like redundantly coming through, not once, not twice, like a ton of times. We connected with her. We presented that evidence to the co-owner, and she started crying. She started crying. She gave her validation of her grandmother who passed away from cancer up in the hospital bed. I didn't know the whole story, but it just gave her, I guess, like that hope, what she's doing and how she came full circle in her life to be a part of this hospital, to own it, to keep it alive, and to tell her story. So I put a in loving memory of her grandmother at the end of the episode, and I made it a point to put her picture and everything. And I just thought it was just more of a powerful way to end a narrative on based on the evidence. And there's so much more to it, like rich in history, but I think that's a positive element that we can walk away from, and it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom.
Yeah, exactly. And final question for me, George. It's like when you do this, and you mentioned it before, and I didn't want to interrupt it, but I want to circle back to one thing. You talked about bringing some data to a professor in Buffalo, I think it was. How often do you do that, Nick, where you go to other agencies and get away from the idea that, well, getting out of this vacuum that we're in sometimes, and I always tell people, if you want to learn something about camera work, go visit a Sony or a Nikon site. Don't go to a paranormal website, because they're just going to feed in this vacuum. Could you just kind of like, how do you go about your thing where, it was great to hear like, hey, I went to a professor. I don't know. Just tell me the truth. What do you see? So we can move on here. But there's a certain level of importance in getting out of our
there is. Yeah, I did it for two reasons, because I wanted to present it to an audience to show that there's no, effing around going here. So I wanted to show that it's legitimate. And then I want to go the distance. And I came from a background of like, showing third-party analysis people to show that like what we're capturing is legit. And I think we missed that. I think a lot, like no one does that anymore, really. If you're talking like TV or streaming or anything like that, as far as paranormal genre goes. And I think they're scared to do that, to be honest with you, for obvious reasons. And I think, what I wanted to do with this, it was so damn good. And I watched it a gazillion times, and I'm like, there's something here. It's legitimately, I can't figure it out. And it's so clear. It's shot in 4K. Here's the raw footage. It's 2 camera angles. How does 2 cameras, the same exact settings, the same exact cameras, how does one camera capture and the other camera doesn't? Let's match it up. And that's basically what happened. So I sent it to a professor who I asked around, like, I need to show this to a third-party video analysis that actually has a rapport, that actually knows what they're talking about. I need somebody, not just like Joe Schmo, who's good at debunking or analyzing or whatever. I don't need that perspective. I don't need you to tell me
get out of the echo chamber.
Yeah, I don't need that. I just need you to tell me credibility to what is this. And I'm not looking for an explanation of like his perception of like what he told me, what he thinks off camera and on camera. But I think ultimately he said that there is something here that we can't explain. Because he doesn't know. I don't know what it is. It looks like a hand. It looks like an arm. But what is it exactly? Is it a ghost? Is it reality and time smashing together from the past? Is it an interdimensional being? Is it a UFO? I don't know, man. It's just weird. And I think we have to do that, but it's a lot of work. I don't think people realize it's a lot of work to go to somebody. It's a lot of like moving parts. You have to edit it down. It has to be cohesive. It has to make sense. I dragged it out a lot in the edit. When you guys watch the whole thing, I drag it out a lot because I think it's a big part. We need to analyze it.
Yeah,
it's a big part of it. So I got rid of a lot of investigation part because it just started dragging in the investigation. It got boring. It's like, well, me walking around asking questions, like, all right, we get it. And you hear voices come through. We already got there. Let's analyze the apparition, the arm and the hand, because I feel like that's important. We want to try to rule out possibilities. And then where do we go from there? Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. I don't see anybody doing it right now to that like level. You know what I mean? To really go the distance. And he says it when I'll show you guys the whole clip of it when we get off. He says it. He's like, you know, when you first sent it to, I think this was his exact words, if I remember correctly. He said it right to my face because I've never met him. I sent him the clips. I got his contact information from people that I worked with. He is a professor for 30 plus years at one of the universities here in Buffalo, and he knows his stuff. I'm telling you right now, he knew more about like what do you call it, like the book smarts of filmmaking, like, you know, the basics and like what to look for. He's like, people send me stuff all the time and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's hair or it's like the orbs or it's like the dust, you know. He's like, I'll be honest with you, I was shocked when you sent me both the camera footage of both cameras, the raw footage, because I was like, okay, if he's messing around, it's either in this one shot and I'm gonna match up both cameras and I'm gonna see instantly if there's, you know, something going on like fabrication. He's like, it was really ballsy of you to do that. That's what he told me. And I said, I have nothing to hide. Here you go. Here's the raw footage. Actually tell me. And it was cool. He was really cool about it. He put a different spectrum. He actually taught me about you know, the green spectrum, like filtering into a green spectrum, the video. So we shot it in low light. And basically we shot at a different frame rate. The shutter speed was exactly how we set the cameras in the camera for color grading. These new cameras we were using. And basically what he said is when he filtered the green tint over it, you know, the raw footage, it actually enhances, because he told me that the eye and the mind sees green. Like we see green differently. Like we see it, I guess, like it pops more. So he filtered the green over it, and you could literally clearly see the hand and arm so good. He zoomed all the way in so you could see the details and everything. And I thought that was the coolest thing about this footage. So, you know, to answer your question, I think it's very important when you capture something where it's not like a shadow in the dark, or it's not like something that we've seen a gazillion times, or something of an anomaly. You know, we can be like, okay, that's something that's weird, that's creepy, or I can't really define it, or it's pixelated or whatever. But when you have something this clear, this clean, you know, no one's moving, the camera's on a tripod. My cousin was next to the camera on a Ronin, which was on another camera. Both cameras are shooting the same way. We have aperture lights set to the exact tone of the light, and they're shooting that way. And you see this thing come out where there's like these shelves in wood. There's no possible way. And we hear this sound, the camera whips. You don't see anything over there. Why does one camera capture and the other camera doesn't? There's no malfunction. There's no camera glitch. There's no malfunction. We ruled all that out. So I don't know. It's weird, man. That's why we bring it to third-party video specialists or people that know what they're talking about, so we can kind of try to comprehend it, you know.
And then after the show, Nick's going to send us this clip, and we'll send it to the 100th new subscriber this evening. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Nick.
Yeah, honestly, I want everyone to see it.
Check, George.
I would love everyone to see it. I can't wait. I'm actually going to release it probably on all my social media here, so everyone can see. I'm just waiting for the whole American thing deal to be done, so we can just release it on the streaming platform. And once that's done, I'll release the whole clip so everyone can see. But yeah, it's cool, man. I got to show you guys.
Well, it's what's interesting about what you went through process-wise is not too different than what we've, as seasoned investigators who've gone out there and done many a time, is have two recorders, you know, redundancy and an investigation. And the one recorder will pick up the EVP, but the other one won't. And that helps to verify whether or not it's, you know, somebody else talking in the room. But if it's only picked up on one recorder, it's some sort of an imprint. And it seems like this is just a visual access by the spirits as to one capturing this and one is not. Quite compelling. And then getting somebody else outside of the realm of the paranormal to validate this or try to come up with an explanation that is logical. But that's not the case here. They can't figure it out either.
I think a lot of people, they don't understand how frustrating this can be when you're analyzing stuff and asking the questions and get another pair of eyes on it, sometimes it can be very self-defeating, and we all know that feeling when you think that you've hit a gold mine and all of a sudden Lucy pulls the football out from underneath you, because the reality is it's something that's very mundane, and we all have to deal with that. But, you know, you take a deep breath, you move on, and that's how it goes. But I just love the idea of breaking loose of this field. Talk to camera experts who have no skin in this fight. Talk to people about recorders, sampling rates, things like that. You know, if there's more to this than just turning the on switch on, you know, if you know about the equipment that you're using, what it's capable of, what it's not capable of, what the anomalies can be, what the artifacts can be, and then put all that into the knowledge base as well. And then when you put forth something that you have confidence in, you can defend it, because inevitably they're going to come, you know, and just know what you're talking about. So I'm for one, happy to hear that you do that kind of thing, Nick. I think it's important.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it drove my my cousin crazy because he wanted a logical explanation for it. He's such a book smart, like IQ heavy person that he was like, he calls me up and he's like, you know, I researched the camera and I set it to these settings. I just can't figure it out. And maybe we're onto something. So he started to say, and I think he's right. He started to say, after he knew the ins and outs of the camera, basically, just like kind of what you're saying, Ken.
Right.
And he said that I think we're onto something as far as capturing a different spectrum with low light capabilities on this one specific camera based on the settings that he set. So we're going to actually do the same thing and set it exactly the same way and put it to the test and see if we can document other stuff. And maybe it's something. Maybe we're hitting some other spectrum that we don't see. You know what I mean? The spectrum is huge. Visual spectrum, we're only seeing like a small glimpse. Animals are like here and there. It's like, oof. So maybe how he said it, I don't know. Maybe it's picking up on something. Maybe we're at the right place, right time. I have no clue. We're going to go back to this location. We're actually bringing in a whole entire team of engineers, different people, different cameras. That camera will set up exactly the same way. We're going to be multiple things in, and we're going to actually put it in the test. We're going to try to communicate again, and we're going to do another episode there, because why? Like, we just captured like the Holy Grail. I've done this for a long time, and I've never seen anything like this. We're just going to breeze over it and be like, all right, cool. That was a great episode. Wow, that's awesome evidence. Let's move on to the next location. Why not go back with a team of people and try to document further and see what happens next? So we're going to do that coming up.
I'd have to say, though, that the creepy crawler that you caught at Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, that's up there in that same realm.
That was weird. That was really weird. It was weird because we didn't see it, but Rob on the camera could see it, you know? And it was so strange, like looking behind in the dark, because we're in like complete darkness and stuff, but he had that he was using a red camera back then, and he had changed the IR capabilities on it, so it was like infrared and like full spectrum in a sense. So it was really weird to experience that.
Let me ask you something in the realm of theology. I've had hypotheses in the field with regards to Bigfoot, with regards to UFOs or underwater phenomena, but I've not really thrown anything out there with the spirit phenomena, not anything recently. But I'm going to ask you a very straightforward question here, Nick. Do angels lie?
Angels? Do angels lie?
And let me go ahead and give an outline about my thought process. When we are talking about all these different investigations where people are having negative encounters or dark spirits visually, things of that sense, is there a sense that, and a possibility, and of course anything's possible here in the paranormal field, that some of this or most of this are angel interpretations? Because we always hear about the demon is in this prison, the demon is in this asylum, the demon is in this hotel, but nobody ever says the angel, the angel, the angel.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
But if they're actually portraying something negative for whatever reason, including turning people off from doing an investigation, protecting people. But is there potential there that it's something good representing evil for whatever reason we do not understand at this point in time?
It's a great question. I've never been asked that question. I think that a lot of what we see as far as Hollywood, movies, TV is based on fear. And I think that fear
Thank you.
overwhelms an audience to continue to watch and to continue to, what is the word? Publicize, I guess, fear. So I think fear it scares us, right? So if we fear the unknown, we're kind of fascinated to keep tuning in and to keep watching it. There's a whole psychology behind it.
Sure.
So I think that's the reason why you don't see a lot of I don't know, like you're talking about angels, good, positive, whatever.
We'll see it on social media, TikTok, or Instagram. Somebody's got where at a car accident, someone's saved, or they see a white angelic figure come and approach, things of that sort. But when it comes to the entertainment value of the paranormal, then it's let's be scary, let's be dark, let's be threatening and menacing.
Right. I think a lot of that happens. I also think like a lot of the locations specifically just for me, like I just told you about that hospital I went to, it has like some negative here and there, but it also, a lot of people died there. It's a hospital, a lot of people born, a lot of people died, but I didn't live heavily on the narrative of like doom and gloom and negative and demons. I hear a lot of that crap going on now. But I lived on a grandmother of this lady passed away here and died, and her story lives on, and I think sometimes it's kind of like what you were talking about, like those stories need to be told. I did another location here in Buffalo, New York at the Children's Hospital. And actually Tessa, my wife, she almost died when she was 4 years old. She was in the hospital for multiple months and basically survived. And that's where she had her first experience. And she started seeing ghosts and spirits and stuff like that. And her mediumship at 4 years old started kicking in.
Right.
And we told her whole story. Her mother came in, she came in, and we had this really great backstory. And then her grandmother came through too, and we made it in loving memory of her grandmother and her story. So I think it just depends on what story you want to tell. But a lot of the locations I've been to are horrible locations too, that have really dark history, that have serial killers, very, very awful people that have lived a life, and you hear about their stories, and that's kind of what it becomes. I don't think it's all demons. I think that's ridiculous, to be honest with you. I think that a lot of things can play negative, and a lot of people, like good and bad, die in this world. But I think stuff can manifest, like a topa, or negative energies can manifest into something else that we can't comprehend that could perceive as those type of awful things into demonic or into negative infestations or multiply into other things. So I do believe it exists. I just don't know, why it's not talked about a lot.
Well, it's like if you take a Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum as an example, and you got teams after teams after teams that go in, and they, at that point in time, will give out biblical passages in an area because they feel there's something negative, a demonic force in that area.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after they've done Psalm 23 or the Lord's Prayer, then everybody collectively, well, I feel it's much lighter in this location. And next night, new investigative team, let's reset the whole scenario. And the demon is back again, and we're going to do this all over again. Doesn't sound to me like something from a theology standpoint would be accurate, or something is going to be pushed away. But as you just said also, I mean, there's transient spirits, the things that people bring with them that create these environments, the invitations that occur while people are doing investigations. But I wonder again with the aspect of angels as to whether or not a lot of what is being played out, they're almost in character so that they're somewhat protected, these investigators, because unlike others that are in this field who do, as a question came in earlier, take things home with them and are sometimes tormented for it. I've been through that situation myself. A lot of people who are out there who really kind of put their energies on the line and say, use me and use, work through me, are taking a lot of risks and walk away completely unscathed.
Right.
And again, that doesn't seem to fit with the narrative of what these demons are. So I'm curious about that, whether or not there's something more that we're still missing with regards to that.
Yeah, I think it's intent. You're talking a lot about intent too.
Yes.
People's intent.
Yes.
I think like Bobby Mackey's a decade ago, I thought it was something evil, something that died there or whatever. Now I believe that it's something of a topa, like a manifestation of people's intentions of putting negative into the environment of the basement, constantly just saying, attack me, constantly saying there's something negative here. And I think that's formed into its own manifestation of something else that mirror images back to you as a living person your deepest fears. And if you feed into that, yes, you're going to have that intent hitting you right in the face back of, kind of that evil sense or whatever. But I think it goes for anything. If you put that good intention into something, you're not going to have such a terrible experience. But I believe there's something else, at the end of the day, I believe there's something else far greater than just this. And there has to be. I believe in alternate realities. And it also comes down to what you believe in, a lot of people from different religions. I've met all sorts of different religions. I've been involved in a lot of different rituals, a lot of different experiments, a lot of different. I've talked to thousands of people from different backgrounds, walks of life, near-death experiences, beliefs, and religions. So it just depends on your perception on things. It depends on your religious background. It depends on, I guess, how spiritual you are and how open-minded you are to conversating. So
Sure.
it just really comes down to that too. And I think how you collectively gather that information and how you digest it, and say, oh, that could be that, and that's what's affecting me. Because sometimes a lot of these situations are the people affecting themselves. I really believe that energies do affect people, but I believe that locations can tremendously affect people based on energy. And yes, it can linger. And I think that other people can actually affect people with their energies. It's a real thing. We're all energetically connected in a cosmetic web together as human beings. We just divide each other because of beliefs and crap. So.
No question about that. I'm going to throw something at you before I bring Ken back in. And actually, this one has to do with Ken and his group, Rise Up Paranormal, and a couple of his investigators who also have a show here on Dead Air Full Spectrum. And that's Cody Ray Desbians and Satori Hawes. Satori Hawes is one of the daughters of Jason Hawes. And they do this method, which is a century old, Nick, the tapping.
Okay,
but they do it in a very, very unique way, the way it happens. And after the show, not right off the bat, sometime during this week, I'll send you one of the links. You can see what they've been accomplishing. But two things have come to mind with this, and I want your take on it. So I'm going to give you a Reader's Digest. One is that some of these spirits have the ability to read our minds.
100%.
Ken DaCosta had that experience firsthand. And the other event is that they can travel at the speed of thought.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably the weirdest one, Nick. And again, I'll try to give you the dummies version on this. We're at a known location in Massachusetts. We're at the Concord Inn. You're probably familiar with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And while they're doing this, I am reading on my phone, with my phone to them, something about the haunted hotels in America. And I'm scrolling down, just getting some background. And they stop the session. And I have scrolled down and I'm reading about someone named Elizabeth Wilson who haunts room 217. And I don't know that I've skipped down past the location we're at, and I'm reading about a different one. And then suddenly they tap out by going through the alphabet and spelling out words. Ken thinking about Elizabeth Wilson. Swear to God. Who happened to be the head housekeeper at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. And it said she haunts room 217, which we all know this is the room Stephen King stayed in and had an experience and based shining on. So there's been a couple of instances where that's happened that I have not mentioned, who I just happen to be thinking of, like, oh, next session I want to bring this name up. And all of a sudden that person appears, So this idea of You call it mind reading, you can call it whatever that you want to, that you talked about intention. And if you focus and concentrate enough, that you can build a bridge to this somehow. It's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me in the years I've been doing this. And you know how we always learn things. And I think I learned a little something that night too. So it was a little daunting because, hey, get out of my head. You're reading. I got to watch what I'm thinking here.
Yeah.
But all kidding aside, I got some insight into maybe how this works in dream states and things like that. Messages come to you. So I guess I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I have had instances where I want to ask a question and I'm thinking it, and then I'll hear the response before I even say it in real time on like audio devices like Geoports and stuff like that. So I've had that happen. I mean, I do believe that it works in a telepathic mean. I don't think, obviously there's not a spirit or a ghost or someone from the past or present or whatever. However you want to define it. I mean, because at the end of the day, there is no notion of time, right? We create time. So time is irrelevant in a sense. We just get old and we die. And that's pretty much, that's pretty much what's happening. But if you think about it right now, every second we're passing away as we're talking. So a couple of seconds ago, we were younger, right? So here we are, we're passing away as we're talking. So what happens if back then, in a previous time, somebody's communicating with us, we're communicating with them, and there's that slip of time, but we can hear each other. We can telepathically hear what's being said. And it's almost like you can already hear what we're talking about in our minds because spirit or us, in a sense, doesn't have the means to communicate like this vocally. We know we do because we're right here communicating right now. But realistically, I've had experiences with my wife, Tessa, where we can read each other's mind. Like we're literally thinking what we're already thinking to each other. We don't have to tell each other. Like we can just read each other's energy. We can hear each other's thoughts. We can hear each other's minds thinking about certain things. And we already know it before it happens. Sure. I just think we're so desanitized by the concept of our brains because of the life we live, because we're taught to speak. We're taught to watch electronics, be on computers, go through work, communicate this way. But if we strip away some of these senses, you can use your brain. I think the brain is the most powerful tool in the world to communicate through telepathic means. So yes, I do believe it's possible. I've seen it happen. I've experienced it. And I've seen, paranormal instances happen like that too before.
Yeah. I wish that I could credit where I read this from, but a physicist has said that once a complete thought is formed, it becomes something physical.
Right.
It exists in the ether.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there for the taking, So I don't know if it's a matter of we can't tap into it or some people have a gift to tap into it, whatever the case may be. But
right.
I follow what you're saying.
We project too, right? We produce. When we move, it's kinetic energy. Like I'm moving kinetic energy right now, and then you get into you get into stuff way over my head. Like you're talking about neutrinos, billions of neutrinos moving through us. We don't see them, but they're moving through us every second. But what about the brain? Like the wavelengths, the vibration. It's going back to Nikola Tesla. I just did a great episode at one of Nikola Tesla's buildings. The atom power plant building here in Niagara Falls, where he constructed the moving current, electricity, and whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I got the first unique access to go into one of his buildings, the only standing building still in existence with Nikola Tesla. I know the family, the guy who owns it now, and we got into the tunnel system that are connected to the dam and stuff like that, where they would move the water and everything. And I got crazy. I'll have to send you a picture. You know me doing wild stuff. We brought in a Tesla coil, a huge Tesla coil. I worked with some great people, and I have a Faraday suit on, and I'm touching this Tesla coil. And we have all this audio devices. I have Tesla tapping into mediumship. We have our crew there that's documenting all the data read and all this stuff. Justin and I are climbing through the tunnels. Dude, it was wild. But it goes back to Nikola Tesla saying, frequency, vibration, the key of the what is it? The three, the key of the universe, the elements, the secret to beyond. I think it has a lot to do with frequency, vibration, energy, all this stuff, that he was onto something. And I just believe that we have the capability of doing the same thing. Another story I have is I was in Brushy Mountain Prison in solitary confinement. And I had my audio device, and I was just Justin and me again, and I'm communicating with somebody that's coming through on the audio device, and I hear the voice, and the voice is saying, "I need water," like clear, like you can hear the voice coming through, like talking like that. "I need water," and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking this is somebody that died here. I know that people died in the solitary confinement. I know the history, and I'm communicating with this one individual, and I go, "Are you dead?" It's like, "No." I go, he thought I was a ghost. He was basically saying I was the ghost. So
yes, I've heard this happen before.
Yeah, I caught on, and I'm starting to think, I'm like, wait a second. Am I communicating with somebody that's alive right now?
Dimensionally.
So, yeah, dimensionally. Yeah. So he's in a different time, whatever his era is. Maybe he's at 1800s. But you got to think about this for a second. If somebody is stripped of all their senses, thrown into a solitary confinement in the bowels of a prison where it's complete darkness, no food, lack of water, you start hallucinating to the sense that, are you tapping into some other ability where you can psychically communicate with your brain, and you think you're going crazy, and maybe you're like, oh, you're schizophrenic, talking to somebody, you hear somebody, you're in this confined jail cell, but it's me he's talking to. I'm the person in the now with technology where I can feel it. I can feel his energy. I have goosebumps. I have the electricity. I'm sensing it, but I'm hearing this audio device communicate his words to me, but he's hearing me through however he's able to tap into with being stripped of all his senses. I think that's how mediumship works sometimes, man.
And homeless people before the invention of Bluetooth.
Yeah, exactly. So I've had that happen, and I think telepathically they can communicate like that, and pick up on vibrations. They can manipulate recorders during a certain decibel. I think it's below like -20 to 0 decibels. I learned on some of the recorders, you have your DR60s people or use, and you have your other digital recorders. And I think there's something within the decibels or below what animals hear. I think it is within the white noise, stuff like that. So it fascinates me. But Tessa, she does it. She's been doing it since a kid, and she has the ability to tap in. And I'm telling you, I've been blown away. I'm a very logical thinker, and when she does it, sometimes I'm just blown away by her abilities. I'm like, she hasn't steered me wrong. So I stopped being so stubborn and saying, no, it can't be. And now I listen to her. I'm like, you're right. I just go with it because she's been always right. She's never steered me wrong. And it might not make sense now, but it makes sense coming up, or it makes sense. It's very fascinating. I think
sound marital advice. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go with the S tier.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, one of the things again is those who are stateside who cannot get a chance to watch Death Walker as of yet. Give them all the information, when they should be prepared for it, where they should be keeping an eye out for when that possibility exists for them to tap in and be able to watch it.
Yeah, so follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I post all my stuff there personally. And coming up, we just had the premiere at the Riviera Theater, North Tonawanda. If you were there was a lot of people there. They saw the first episode we premiered. I did Q&A of Deathwalker, showed some evidence, showed the new trailer coming out. And what you're going to see is 40 episodes going to be released. We're working on a negotiation deal right now for America. It's going to hit in the fall. If we land this, it will be in the fall coming up for, the whole seasonal October thing. United Kingdom, it's coming out there again in the fall coming up. I'm not sure when they're actually slating it to stream. It's going to be in the United Kingdom on Discovery Plus, and I think they aired on the Really channel after too, kind of together in a sense. And then Canada, we'll have some news there, and other countries coming up here as it evolves, as it progresses. I'll be announcing it on my social media. You can just stay tuned for that. We were just on the news for one of the news stations here locally. And we had a cover story on Lockport. We did, and you guys can see that on my social media too. So,
if you will indulge me, I would like to, for those who may have joined the show late, to play the trailer one more time, so you guys can check it out and just again whet your appetite for what's to come. This is the trailer for Deathwalker.
If I can just prove and show that physical attacks do happen from
the browser failed.
If I can just prove and show that physical attacks do happen from beyond, that would give us evidence that you do exist, that there is something than just dying.
I've never experienced this before.
More negative, something inhuman.
I want to see once and for all, can something actually attack the living?
It's this dark energy, this malevolent force.
You have a mark on your neck.
That's what it feels like. It feels burned.
It will absolutely physically harm you. It can attach itself to you.
Someone will get ill, throw up. They feel like they're being held down.
I sense it. If something in here can physically harm the living, and I'm talking to the negative entity that's in here. We're going to find you. Feels like it's burning. It's burning right in the middle. Is that you cutting my back?
Okay, Bill Forte, our producer, you got to fix whatever that problem is that it didn't work all the way through there. So before we replace you, sir. Nick Groff, people have been asking throughout the night, do you still go to the gym and work out? Well, he did tonight because I think he held his phone for the entire show.
I actually ran 2 miles before I came on this. I did. That was the only time I had to go for a run. So I'm trying to. We're planning on doing another unlimited journey with Mike Couch with Lost Limbs Foundation probably in the springtime. So I'm prepping to do some crazy excursion with him. So we'll see what we'll get into. But yeah, I'm trying to stay fit in the midst of everything. It's been crazy.
Well, you have my promise and Ken's promise. We will not harass you to come on the show till the spring then.
That sounds good, man.
Deal.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and I apologize if I missed the last one. It was my fault, and I totally spaced on putting it in my calendar. And you guys are awesome. You've always been extremely nice and supportive, and I appreciate everyone. You know, it's been a long journey, man.
We appreciate you being generous with your time, Nick. You got a lot going on. Go feed those kids.
I know. I know.
You take care of yourself. It's so, you know, it's honorable to call you a friend and a colleague in this field. And we will touch base with you again soon, my friend. Please be safe, and my best to you and your family.
Awesome. And if I see you down, you're in Florida, right, George?
I am just south of St. Augustine.
We're going to be, all right, we're going to be in Boca Raton coming up. Tessa has an event there in Boca Raton, Florida, at the Black Box venue. I don't know if you know it, but we're going to be down that area. If you want to swing through, come on by. I'll send you the info.
All right. I appreciate it, buddy. You take care of yourself.
Take care, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Nick.
All right, guys, that does it for our show. I want to thank Nick Groff as our guest tonight and everybody in the chat for participating. Next week, we will be off for the Labor Day weekend, but we'll be back the following week. Until then, you guys have a great rest of your weekend and a good week. And thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Take care. Thank you, and have a good night.